Welcome
to
the
Youth
Ministry
101
podcast.
with
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Youth Ministry 101 podcast by Net Canada. That was a little introduction that we had been practicing before that I may or may not use in the actual podcast. But this is a podcast where you can learn tips and tricks and hear stories to help reach youth in your life, parish, and schools to share in the love and joy of Jesus Christ and his church. My name is Matthew, and I'm joined here by
Julia
and Pia.
You have such a good voice, Julia.
Thank you.
So enticing, so enticing.
Also, I didn't want to on when we were live. I didn't want to challenge you, but it was like, isn't your jacket purple?
Yeah.
And you said you're like, I don't wear colors. I was like, fit your jacket.
Okay, actually facts though. But it's because, that jacket, the jackets I wear all to have color because they were really on sale.
Oh, okay.
And I get them for the technical use, not for the looking loose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I'm gonna get a black jacket from back home because I want to wear black.
Do you wear subdued colors because your personality is colorful enough?
Yes. Hey, Maddie
Oh
Vino!
my gosh. Maybe I should have said that in the podcast just for that.
Yeah, no, actually, that's the reason why. Because, my personality is, really big, and I, go out there.
Yeah.
I don't want people
So if
to
you
be...
had, jump pants, what are they called? Parachute pants and,
Yeah, would people be like, she's crazy.
No. I think it would just accentuate the vibrance.
Today we're going to be talking about the top 3 ways to engage youth in your church. But before we get into that, Julia has something to say.
I just want to say thank you to all of our co-missionaries. Thank you so much for your support of this ministry. If you want to learn how to be a co-missionary, visit us at netcanada.ca.
And thank you to you if you are already a co-missionary. And even if you're not, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Like I said before, this week we're going to be talking about top 3 ways to engage youth in your church. Maybe the young people at your church are not coming to church. Maybe that's the first problem. Or maybe they are, but they're not interested in joining in anything that you're doing in the church. So how can we engage the youth? What have you guys found in the past has worked for engaging youth in whatever's happening, the life of the church, basically?
I guess the biggest thing, since I just came into this position 6 months ago, is just getting to know the youth, having started a relationship with them, saying, hey, what are you into? And don't say anything about Catholicism. They know it's a Catholic youth group, but don't say anything. I think the first 2 months when we started youth group, we just did fun things. And then as soon as the new semester started we call it semester, so the new school year, we started gently just going into topics. Gently, but then even in small group, if they didn't want to talk about Catholic stuff, that's all good. So investing in them and creating a relationship in them is the biggest thing I've noticed. And now youth are just I think the cutest thing that's happened, because there's a junior and senior youth group. So okay, you're a man, you're a male. So the juniors, I don't know what they're doing. They're all jumping and running or something.
All the crazy little guys.
Yeah, and they're say, Pia, come watch. And I've done it's come watch, and I'm watching. I don't know what I'm watching for. I don't know. I think they're competing.
What are they doing?
They're running and then jumping.
Okay.
I think they're competing maybe.
Yeah.
But I felt it so endearing because they're calling me over to come watch them, and then because I've been investing in them, even just saying hi to them, hi at the door, or saying goodbye to them at the door, and walking them out to their cars and stuff. Just investment. So
investment. Yeah. I like that. To go back a little bit to challenge you on something we were talking about before. When you said not introducing or not saying that we're Catholic, I think that it's good we obviously want to say that we are Catholic, but to talk about the point you were saying is that we don't want to like harp on that fact right away. Like we want to love them where they're at and then like show them who we are. And I think that like that is a very Christ-like thing to do, because like any story where Christ encounters somebody in the Gospels, just watch The Chosen. It's so good. Like anytime the Lord meets somebody, he meets them where they're at, and he loves them there. And then they're like, oh my gosh, like if we love people like that, we have the love of Christ in us. It'll show them there's something different about this person. Like, what do they have that I don't have? And I want that, you know?
Yeah, totally. Oh my goodness. Like 110%. Like, then they just start asking questions about, I think our last youth night, we were talking about how we can hear God. And I didn't personally encounter this, but one of my adult volunteers did. And I think he's been coming to youth group ever since September. So since we started everything back up. And he asked, like, how can you actually hear God? Because I don't hear him, and I hear you guys are hearing him, and there's different ways you can hear him. But he went up to him, and then he told us after. And I was like, wow, like, the fact that he's able to trust that vulnerability, it's just like, and because the questions do come, and they understand it's a Catholic youth group, and they understand, like, we're going to talk about Catholic things. But the fact that he came up and said, hey, how can I hear God? Because I don't know how to hear God. And it was like, I'm like, even though it's just 6 months in, God is working in their lives, and God's really showing us the fruits, even though it's only been 6 months. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think the first point that I wanted to, like, dive into a little bit more was listening to them. I realized now that we jumped into this episode without really giving an introduction. Pia, could you just introduce yourself, what you do,
Totally.
like with Net? Yeah.
So I'm the Divine Infant Youth Coordinator. So I just run their youth groups, and yeah, that's what I do.
Cool. So you work for Net right now?
Yeah, I work for Net. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like Pia was saying, when that young man came up to them and was talking about his struggles with hearing the Lord, the fact that you guys were listening to him, to segue naturally into this next. Yeah, I want to ask the question, like, this is a question to both of you. What do you think the difference between listening and hearing is?
I think being intentional with your body language, to be honest, and being intentional in what you say after. So, for example, youth is like saying, I don't hear God. And you're just like chilling there. You're like, okay, cool. Okay, that sucks. You know? But like, you know, having like a loving presence. I think body language says a lot. Like the
like
way...
empathy.
Yes, 110%. Like, let's see, when I think about it, when I listen to youth, I like lean in, I make like affirming noises, and I'm like, yeah, totally. Oh my goodness, I totally struggle with that as well. Instead of being like cold. And I think that's the difference between listening and hearing. Hearing is like, you hear everything they say, but they see that you're not reciprocating like any love. You're just hearing them out. And then listening is like, you're like empathetic, and you're like, you know, you're hearing them, and you really want to just hear them out, even though if you don't have a solution for them, just being able to making sure they feel heard.
Julia, what are some things on empathetic listening? Because I think you are very talented at this. So
Thank
do you
you.
have any tips and tricks for us? Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it, so.
I feel like it's something that I've worked towards in the past few years, still a journey. But just sitting with people where they're at, not judging them as they, you know, with what they say, and not being slow to respond too. It can be easy to want to fix a apparent problem. But really, something I've been trying to work on more recently is just being very attentive to the Holy Spirit's promptings, and knowing that He's such a real, living presence within me. And so, after listening, like being slow to respond and not preparing what you're about to say. You know, what comes next, relying on the Holy Spirit, and going with that and trusting that. Yeah,
I like that. That's really good. I'll have to take notes. Do you guys have any like specific examples of times when you felt heard by someone? Like when you felt like somebody was hearing you?
I think my very first experience, the very first experience, the whole story was I left the church. I was raised Catholic, left the church. I came back when I was in university. That's the whole story. And I think the first time that I was ever heard was actually from my CCO missionary. So like CCO is a ministry that's on campus for university students. And
Catholic Christian Outreach.
yes. Shout out to them.
Yes.
And I think I had such a profound experience at one of their events, and their missionary came up to me, and he noticed because I was like hanging out with them because I want the joy that the students had. And I was like, I partied a lot, and they had something that I wanted. So I started hanging out with them. And then I went to this event, and then after that, my CCO missionary noticed something. He's like, Pia, I noticed that you're different. And I was like, I'm not different. I'm still going to school. I'm going to my class. Like, I'm just going to faith studies. Like, what's up? It's like, no, something's changed. Like, can I do you feel something stirring in your heart? And I was like, and this is the first time I've ever shared with anyone about like my past, my relationship with Christ, my journey, everything. And he just sat there and listened. And I felt so loved. I felt the Father's love. And I think he did everything that you said, Julia, like with all like the empathetic listening and just feeling very intentional. And like, he didn't even, I was like, don't you have like meetings and stuff? Because you're a missionary. I know you're super busy. And he's like, no, I can sit here as long as you need. And that's the very first time.
Wow.
After my conversion, I felt heard. So, yeah.
Yeah. When somebody gives you that space to just like share and they like you said, he kind of like cleared his schedule for that. That is an amazing feeling. You've like the love of the Father for sure.
And it's definitely like Holy Spirit led because like that was not like planned whatsoever. I think our meeting was supposed to be only like 5-10 minutes. It ended up being like almost 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Spiritual direction.
Beautiful.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Oh my goodness.
That's awesome. How about you, Julia? Any times you've felt, before I said heard, what I meant to say is listen. I was like, I'm messing up the terms that I introduced.
That's awesome. Not a specific example, but more an overall kind of idea is like our purpose and something I'm so passionate about. Our purpose in life is as we know, to love, and to serve God. And when we do that to another person with another person, there is like a part of us, a part of them that takes such delight in that. And so I think the first step in listening is you're expressing a desire to know the person. And then from that flows like you come to love what you know and then serve them based on what you know. And I don't know if you guys can think about a time where somebody remembered something about you, whether it's your coffee order without having to ask, or your middle name, just a random fact that shows that they were listening, and you feel known. And I think that's such a beautiful reality when you feel known, that there's this part of us that just takes so much delight in that. And to be able to do that for somebody is such a gift. So it's kind of more of an overall, but I'm so passionate about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you mentioned like somebody remembering your middle name or something, I've had this weird realization like lately that when I hear somebody say my name, there's like a part of me that like is like, oh, I feel like recognized and seen because of that. So it's odd, but like when I hear people say my name, I'm like, oh, that's nice.
That's powerful. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's like your name is kind of like, seems like an arbitrary thing. Like people just throw it around like it's just a name, you know? But there is power in words. So I think that's kind of a cool way to show like the weight of remembering people's names.
That's so
Because
true.
in relating to youth,
Yeah.
that's huge. So if you're listening to them and you're hearing what they're saying, and you're remembering their name, you're remembering like what they're telling you, and relaying that back to them later, I think has a huge impact.
Yes, totally, 110%. I must say, like, that's like one of my greatest talents, working with youth. I used to work at a summer camp with like every single session was like 110 youth, and I would be like resource staff, so like just helping. I wasn't like necessarily a counselor, so I had the opportunity to meet all the youth, and I would memorize all their names on the first day.
Wow.
Whoa.
To make sure they're all like seen, known, and loved. This was prior to my conversion, so I thought I could provide that for them, but then realizing Jesus can actually do that. But yeah, that's the one thing that I'm very passionate and also talented for. So
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very
That's
helpful.
amazing.
yeah, so
I have the opposite of a talent for that. I like forget people's names. Like it's terrible. Yeah.
yeah, names usually stick, and I usually call them by name. I think it also happened in high school because I was like one of those kids that people knew. So I was like, hey, down the hall. And
Down the, like in the movies where you're like saying hi to everyone.
yeah.
I say the movies because I was homeschooled, so my experience of school is in movies.
A little pro tip.
Yeah.
You can or you may or may not use is you can say to someone, I forget your name, but I remember your smile. So just like fixate on something that you remember, like whether it's an experience with them or just a memory that you can bring back, even if it isn't their name, because we are human. So it's awesome if you can remember people's names, 110 of them. But also, it's totally human if you forget. But try to remember something else about them.
Yeah.
Such a good tip.
And a practical thing I think I've heard is like just say their name 3 times when you first meet them. It usually sticks. Doesn't work for me very well. I literally will meet somebody, turn around and be like, well, pray for that person. I don't remember what their name is. But Holy Spirit, help me remember their name. Yep. That's the worst when you, like, if you're leading a small group and you're like, hey, bro.
Yeah, actually. Oh my god. Or if you're like praying over them and then they were in your small group and you're like, hey, may you pray for
This
Beloved
son of
daughter.
God.
all the filler words.
Yeah. Yep. The next point I want to talk about, number 2, is investing. So I know nothing about investments, monetary wise, but investing in people, that's another story. I think like when I think back to youth ministers ministering to me as I was growing up, I think investment like that played a huge part in it. And like, I feel very loved when people, are willing to take the time to spend time with me. So when they were investing in me and taking interest in what I like was passionate about, that spoke volumes to me. So how have you seen like investing in youth impact youth ministry like overall? That's a pretty vague question, but
I think investment is so important, because like it shows that you care about them without any strings attached. Because like I think as a youth coordinator, working in youth ministry, they don't have any obligation to you, or you don't even have any obligation to them. Also, you don't really make bank when you're a youth coordinator in general. So like you have no reason to invest in them, no reason whatsoever. But it's like you tell them, like they find out about that and they're like, wait, what? You don't earn a lot of money? Wait, I don't have to say the right answer? It's like, yeah, you don't. You just say what you want to say. And they're like, wow, that speaks volumes. Because especially in this day and age, like they always have expectations from their teachers, from their parents, from their coaches, from whoever they're talking to that's an adult. Like, unless even their leadership classes, like anything. But I think being in like youth group, there's no strings attached. There's no reason why you should invest. But the fact that you're investing in them while they're not investing in you speaks volumes. Because they're like, why do you care about me so much? It's like, I don't know, like maybe because I want to bring you closer to Christ, but also in a way that's so loving and so like at your level, right? Even if it might take years or like even like it'll take time, but like I'll be there for them type thing. And as much as like that's what Jesus does for us, Jesus invests in us, and if they can see that through you, wow. Imagine what can Jesus do in their life. So yeah, that's my experience.
And from like a place of authenticity, of not like investing to like get something out of it, or like I'm investing in you because I want you to become Catholic, or I want you, to join the church, just like as another number. Like that is not what we want to do at all. Like genuine investment is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And it seems to just, the answer usually just comes back to like being authentic.
Yep.
Been working with youth for such a long time.
That's awesome. Like, so, like, I think the most randomest thing I got into was like, what was it? It was like the different types of rocks and how you can like have fossils in them. And I'm like, okay, I need to get into this. I like started like reading stuff up, came back to like, I think I was working for the city of Calgary at the time. And I told them about this like interest. And they're like, wait, you're into it? And I was like, no, I just like decided to read. And they're like, their eyes lit up. So like, and it's just like
amazing.
Stuff that I'm not necessarily into, but I'm investing in them.
So
And I think the expectation of it, like people are just thinking back to when I was that young, is like, oh, they won't, like default is people don't really care. Like older people have their own problems. They don't really care about us, sort of thing. So like when there is like a youth minister, and I'm going to kind of segue into the next thing is like peer to peer. So like young people investing in young people in terms of like an example being net. Like there's net teams are full of 18 to 30-year-old people, so they're closer to the age of what the young people are that we're ministering to, and seeing somebody like close to your age who's like ignited in their faith and like is passionate about that, but then also is like, you know, they love Star Wars, they love Marvel, and they're talking about that. It's like, whoa, there's something interesting. Like they are in the world, but there's something different. Like they're not of the world, you know. That's huge. Because just thinking back to like I'd be like nerding out about Star Wars, and the youth minister would be like, oh yeah, like he would know things. I'm like, how do you know so much about it? And then later on we'd have like a deep spiritual conversation. I was like, man, these people are alive. It's great.
Yeah.
So cool. And just like taking interest in what they love.
Yeah.
Making things matter to us that normally wouldn't, say, individually, because the person matters. So like that didn't used to matter to me, but it matters to me because you matter to me.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
love, sacrificial love.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness.
I love it. I sacrificially love it. No, I do genuinely love it.
Wait, what?
And the third way, this is kind of like, sounds cheesy at first, and when I read it on the paper, maybe it is cheesy, but just repeating that cycle of listening and investing.
Yeah.
In people. And it's not that complicated.
No.
It just takes time and love, sometimes sacrificial love.
110%. 110%. I feel like it's so simple, and people like think like, oh, youth is so difficult. They like these things and they like other things, and I can't even relate to them. I'm straight up, 26 years old. I have different interests altogether, and I shouldn't be like relating to as much as they do, but they relate to me and I relate to them. And it's like, what? How is this even possible? Like,
An anomaly.
I'm 26. Like, I'm a solid, like, I think the youngest people I minister to, solid my 14, 15 years. I was already, like, out of their age range. Like, I was in high school when they were born type thing. But I think just being able to invest and being able to, like, relate to them. And actually, as you said, sacrificial loving and empathetic listening. Like, all those things relate. And you just have to keep doing those. It's not a hard thing to do. But as humans, it's so difficult because we're so self-centered and we don't want to do those things sometimes.
So true.
So I feel like even though it sounds simple, it's harder said than done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a good point that you're like bringing up, is that all these things are so simple on like paper, or when you hear them, it's like, oh yeah, that's easy. You know, just gotta love. And then you try it and you're like, man, it's hard to love. You walk away or you come off a retreat and you're like, man, I'm going to go love people. It's going to be great. You come back home and then like your little brother is like pestering you or something. And it's like, oh man, love isn't such an easy concept, you know?
Oh, I just read something about this morning, and I'm going to poorly paraphrase it, but in a book, I Believe in Love, just something about not like fixating on the things that annoy us, you know, and other people, but like fixating instead and finding their virtue. So finding their good qualities and like rejoicing in those.
What's the book called?
I Believe in Love.
I Believe in Love. Who's it by?
Oh,
Somebody. I'll put it in the show notes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
If you guys have any resources, just name it and I'll put it in the show notes. Yeah.
That's a really good book because like that's what Saint Therese did. Like I remember reading her like Story of a Soul, like her journal, like the book, and I like how like legitimately she's so funny. She's like, yeah, this one nun really annoyed me, so I just always smiled at her, and after that, in the end, she just thought I really liked her, but she was just, her presence annoyed me so much. But the only thing she chose to love, even though like you might think Saint Therese, oh, she's a doctor of the church, she's like the little flower, and nope, she's also human.
Yeah.
Like when I read that, I was like, yo, she's so savage. Why is she thinking like that? But at the same time, the only thing she did was smile at that person. And I think that's what the book is based off of, Saint Therese, isn't it? So like it just reminds me of that. It's like she chose to sacrificially love, but then that sister felt so loved because she always smiled at her. And I was like, wow, it's like the things you can do can really make a difference in a person's life, even though it's hard for you to do itself.
And that sacrificial love transcends into authentic love. Like, yes, you might be choosing to love in that moment, but I choose this because I want to, because I love you.
Hey, that's
It
so
even
good.
rhymes. I
Yeah.
love it.
That's so good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
I have a question. Is it really this simple?
To be honest, yes. To be honest, I think the question is, are you choosing to do it? It is really that simple. But the question's up to you. If you're choosing to say yes. If you're choosing not to say yes and you do these things, well, I guess you're not doing these things if you say no. So, but it's simple. It's just as simple as that. But you have to say yes. And you have to genuinely say yes. Because if you don't, like, it's going to be hard for you. And
And it's going to be an everyday thing. Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think one tendency I can fall into, it's like, I've committed to the Lord, I'm following Jesus, you know, the rest of my life is going to be smooth sailing. But it's not the case. You know, there's still struggles. It's still difficult. But there's like a reason at the end of all of it. And it's a daily commitment. Every single day in prayer, going to the Lord and being like, Lord, I have literally nothing. Like, I can't do anything without you. I need your help. Like, take my life and use me for your glory.
That's so true.
Yeah, there's a bunch of great little prayers you can pray, but I think one, oh my gosh, there's so many. Jesus, I trust in you is a great fallback.
Yes, 110%. And I feel like that's why a lot of times youth coordinators or people that work with youth as a whole, they work overtime a lot because they're investing a lot in the youth, and they're investing time that's not enough in like the 9-to-5 job per se. But that's the beauty. Like, if you're gonna ask me like, oh, do I work 9 to 5? No, not really. I don't really work 9 to 5. But every single time I go to youth night, every single time I go to an event, every single time, like, it's outside of like my work schedule per se, I still get so much life because I know it's all for the youth, and I know in the end it's for the glory of their soul, and it's for the glory of the souls that Jesus died for. And it's the glory for my own soul and everyone I encounter. And because time, like, you can't be constructed by time, right? Like, God works out of time. And I think as youth coordinators, we try to, like, work, like, with God and whatever timing he has, which is kind of hard between 9 to 5. So,
Because you're not necessarily going to see, like, the fruit or, like, things happen in your ministry, like, metrics-wise.
yes.
And oftentimes the change happens afterwards.
Yes.
10 years down the road. You know, we had James on earlier on the podcast, and he was talking about how there was a youth minister here in Ottawa that, like, so much fruit came from her ministry, but it didn't necessarily happen during the ministry itself.
Yeah.
It's like lots of beautiful things happened afterwards.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Youth ministry is so good. Also, it's like such a hard concept sometimes. I think you have to like always be striving for God yourself. And like, as I said earlier, you have to say yes. But you know who actually says yes? God. Jesus said yes. Jesus does this for you. So why wouldn't you say yes for him and do this for the youth? So yeah.
And I love that, Pia. Like in terms of like striving and like Jesus saying yes first, because it's like we do everything for God's glory, but I think sometimes it can be easy to like we can lose sight of we're doing this also from God, from His power and like sustained by His grace, truly, because we couldn't do it on our own strength, and so going back to that source.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was very well said.
Oh, praise God.
I love it. Yeah.
And I just want to say, like, it can be so easy to, like, you know, be frustrated with our imperfections or with the imperfections of other people.
Yeah.
But a cool reality that's kind of, like, hit me and resonated more recently is, like, in this life, we know that no one is perfect, and only heaven, like, God in heaven is going to be able to enjoy the perfected version of our love. So on earth, like, actually being okay with that, and just recognizing that our call is just to strive, strive to perfect our love, but also knowing that only in heaven will we get there.
Yes.
So be merciful to yourself.
Yes.
And to others. I think
And to others.
it's very it's very easy to like love people on the outside.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the people within your own circle or like your family, it can be incredibly difficult to love at times. So I just want to like stress like not just like putting up a front of love,
Of course, yeah.
but like letting love like envelop you and just like loving those around you. And it's gonna be a battle, you know, every day. So
I think it's so interesting how everything just boils down just being genuine, and like don't force yourself to do these. Like just like strive for genuine love, like genuine investment, genuine everything. Because like I think that's what all we desire is just have a genuine relationship, right? And if you're like gonna forget everything about this podcast, like you could be like cooking dinner and you're like, okay, like these are the 3 things. Oh, I forgot what the 3 things are. Oh shoot, what is it?
Me too.
It's like be genuine. Be genuine in your love. Be genuine in your relationships. And you're like, okay, maybe I'll look through the show notes or something like that. It's just like,
But be genuine in there.
yeah, be genuine. You know?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yep. So listen, invest, repeat.
Yes.
It's as simple or as complicated as that. Depending on how you look at it.
It's true.
Julia, would you like to end us off in a prayer?
I would love to.
Yeah.
In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, amen. God, we thank you so much for the opportunity and the calling that we have and you've given to us to work on our relationship with you and to share that with others. We ask you for a greater capacity to listen to those that you place in our path and to love with a genuine heart. Continue to perfect the love that you have placed within us, your love, Jesus. We ask all this in your name and with thanksgiving in advance. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. If you do want to, like we said at the beginning, get more involved in Net Canada in whatever capacity you are called to do, you can learn more at netcanada.ca and follow us on social media at netcanada.
Yes. Thank you, Julia. And thank you for coming on, Pia.
Yeah, thank
Awesome.
you, Pia.
Thank you
to
for
have you.
having me. Like, it was such a fun time, such a fun conversation, and I love talking about youth ministry. Like, so passionate about it because sounds corny. Youth is our future.
They are.
Because I'm gonna be like old, and then they have to follow suit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to plug your podcast. You actually have a podcast too, which I was going to say, you're such a natural podcaster.
Yeah.
too.
Hey, thanks.
What's your podcast called?
My podcast is called Catholit. You can listen. So it's like Catholic, but Catholit. So it's on like Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can listen to a podcast. It's like available.
Cool.
So it's just conversations. If you just want to listen to some conversation that's about like relatable young adults, listen to Catholit.
Yeah, Pia's pretty cool, so
Hey.
go subscribe or follow to Catholic. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode, and we will see you all next time.